I recorded all of this in the PS4, so I didn't use any capture hardware. You know, the PS4 is always recording. I think it's the last 15 minutes that you're playing as you're playing, and at any given time, you can tell it to save that to the hard drive or the SSD. So that's actually pretty cool. I made this entire review just while recording it within the PS4 itself. It only recorded at 720p, and the game does actually run at 1080p, so just keep that in mind. You're only seeing 720p, even though the game's actually running at 1080p. At first glance, The Last of Us Part 2 may look like it's going to be much more open world, but it's not really. It's still pretty linear. It does that wide corridor thing where you kind of feel like you have a little bit more area to explore around in, but it's still pretty linear. And that's fine. That's what these guys do best, and this doesn't really change that too much. Maybe a few areas that are a little bit more open, but it's still pretty linear overall. This game's very similar to the first one. It's a sequel. If you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like this one. But if you liked the first one like me, you're going to love this one. What improvements there are, the gameplay has been slightly tweaked. There's a few more moves, a few more combat moves that you've got. The animation's definitely been improved. There's a lot more subtle animation, you know, in between attacks and dodges, and it makes the controls feel a little bit more responsive too. We got the same old puzzles with, you know, moving the garbage can to the right spot so you can get up. But I gotta say, there was a few that were pretty clever where you had to use like physics and gravity, let's just say that, to, you know, get your timing right and get the garbage can where you needed it to be at the right time. And it was actually pretty cool. So there's not a ton of it in this one. But what's there was pretty cool.
Come on. Yes. That actually worked. That's pretty smart, Ellie.
I'm not going to give away any spoilers. Truthfully, though, by now, you probably already know the main one. And a lot of people were apparently upset with the storyline in this game. But I overall liked it just fine. For the most part, it's just a classic revenge story. But they force you to experience it from like both sides. You know, there's always two sides to the story.
We're not falling back. We're getting called up. It took us months to secure this stuff. Higher ups know what they're doing. Probably. It's them!
Better get away!
Come on!
You know, you're playing as a new character. A lot of people complained about that, but it's a character that Ellie has a lot of hate for good reason. But as you play as this other character, you end up liking her quite a lot. And, you know, she's done things that really you can't blame her for doing. And, you know, Ellie and Joel have done things that you can't blame them for doing. It's just, you're living in this world where everyone's killing each other, and eventually, you know, things are going to catch up to you. So I had no issues with that. The biggest issue I had really was just with the ending,
There's some kids' clothes.
because they kind of ruined Ellie's character for me. Overall, I really loved the game. I really had no issues with the storyline most of the time. It's a long game. It's like took me 29 hours to beat, so it's at least twice as long as the first one. I would say more than twice as long as the first one, so that's good. The graphics at times are outstanding. I mean, almost, I could just say period, full stop. The graphics are outstanding. But then when I add to the fact that this is running on a PS4, this is running on a base model PS4, and it looks amazing. It really does. So they pulled off some amazing feats of optimization. And obviously Naughty Dog's always been very good at pushing PlayStation consoles. And, you know, The Last of Us was a late PS3 game, and probably the best looking PS3 game, or one of the best looking PS3 games ever. And, you know, this was a late PS4 game, and arguably it's one of the best, if not the best looking PS4 game. It runs good. I didn't notice any screen tearing. Load times are pretty good, although I'm running off an SSD, so I don't know how that would be on a stock system. But, I mean, The Last of Us typically has pretty long load times for the first time you load the game. But then as you're playing, there's not really any. So, yeah, it's an amazing technical feat. Obviously, again, Naughty Dog really knows how to program for PlayStation systems. This is probably one of the best, if not the best, looking and running games on the system. It's quite surprising that this isn't on the PS5. There's no patch yet that I am aware of. And again, it came out so late on the PS4's life that they really could have just brought it out for the PS5, but it's again, they did the same thing with The Last of Us. Pretty much came out right at the end of the PS3's life. And maybe that's a good thing, because a lot of people can play it. Whereas if it came out on the PS5, there's not a lot of people that can play it. Again, the combat system is basically the same, but it's a little more fluid, and there's a few extra moves. The weapon system's basically the same. All the modifications you can do to your weapons is basically the same as the first one.
Holy shit, Joel.
We're here.
Oh my god, it is a dinosaur!
And it is.
Joel!
Surprise.
Holy shit. Oh, it's a motherfucking dinosaur.
And yes, the game still has its moments like this. There's a lot of flashback scenes, so you do play as a younger Ellie in some parts of the game, and it kind of jumps back and forth between different times and different characters. Of course, this is a Last of Us game, and I haven't really shown very many monsters or quote-unquote zombies. I've been showing lots of human enemies. Of course, in these games, the human enemies are really the more dangerous ones, most of the time anyways. But yeah, like I've said before, The Last of Us is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, modern action games. So it's no surprise that I like this game. Like I said, if you didn't like the first game, you're not going to like this one, but why would you play this one if you didn't play and like the first one? It's a sequel, continues the storyline, and like I said, the only thing I really didn't like about it is the ending. Spoiler alert, but they had the chance to end Ellie's storyline with a good ending, and they kind of ruined it by not ending the game when they should have, in my opinion. Again, look at how good this game looks. The reflections in the water here were quite nice. Obviously it's not ray tracing, but we've got some good screen space reflections, and I guess it's cube maps. And I know that's more work for the developers, but
I don't know.
it still looks good.
What do you mean?
This is the right building, but I've never been to this part of it. The bridge drops us off at the back of the building. This is new to me.
Okay, well, let's see if we can find our own way down.
So anyways, that's The Last of Us 2. The Last of Us being probably my favorite modern action game, and this is up there. I liked it almost as much as the first one. And again, it's over twice as long, much longer than twice as long as the first one. So there's a lot of game here, and it's definitely worth picking up if you liked the first one.
Hope I can cut through here.